came up with this interesting pattern to separate out the action and the state checks from the actual rendering component. I originally had this undo redo component that has the buttons to do undo and redo, and then I ran out of space to show the buttons for lower resolution, so I have to provide the same options for via menu items, I guess. And then it still needed all these checks, whether we can undo and redo and what action to fire up and all of that. I figured, if I have to repeat it, to move all of that under a new hook, which I'm calling as use undo redo hook. So here I'm going to just worry about the connections to the state. So it will return whether we can perform those two actions and also the function callbacks that will perform the action themselves. And this in turn is connected to the Redux store via these dispatches and selectors and all that. So now next step would be to clean up my undo redo and use this hook instead of subscribing to the state directly. So I made the change over here. Now you can see that we are subscribing to the hook methods for all of these, and I've cleaned up all the references to the state here. So this kind of essentially becomes a dumb component, and by separating those logic in the hook, and next thing I'll have to do is to use these same hook methods to perform the same action, not as buttons but as menu items. Now we are making the change to the menu option as well. So here we are using the same hook, use undo redo, and based on the menu, these are the menu items. So we show the menu items if the option exists, and if it does, then on selection of that menu item we perform that same action which is in the hook. So that's how now we are using that hook at two places with two different UI treatments. So if you want to see it in action here we have the undo and redo buttons, but obviously I'm not going to show them both at the same time, but for this testing they are also available here. So at lower resolution I'll show this, at higher resolution where there is room in the top nav I will show this. So if we do an undo here, the option to undo goes away, but the option to redo exists, and we can see that here as well. And if we redo here, then that item is redone, and now we have both the options, and we can see how the change reflects here as well. So they are both doing the same job for us.